The girl who never gave up. Sensitivity to disability. On June 27, 1880, a baby girl was born in Alabama in the United States of America. She was beautiful and healthy. Her parents were very happy to have her. They named her Helen. Everything was fine until one day Helen fell sick. She had a very high fever and a bad headache for many days. The doctors worked hard to treat her. Finally, she recovered, but her parents felt that Helen was not the same. She could no longer hear or see. Helen was only 1.5 years old at the time she became deaf and blind. She could not see the things around her. She could not hear what her parents were saying to her. She bumped here and there. She fell so many times and got hurt. She could hardly tell what she was feeling. People could not understand her. She used to get irritated. Then she used to scream, hit and kick people. Life became very difficult for the little girl. Helen's parents were also worried. They wanted to help their daughter. So, they met the director of Perkins Institute for the Blind in Boston. He suggested a former student named Annie Sullivan. Annie had been blind but had her eyesight restored by surgery. She thought maybe her unique experience would allow her to help Helen. Annie came to work with Helen on March 3, 1887. Helen was almost 7 years old by that time. Annie worked very hard with Helen to teach her about everything in the world. She not just taught her how to read and write, she also made her understand feelings and emotions. She taught her how to behave. She helped her grow into a fine person who never felt helpless because of her inability to see and hear. She helped her grow up as a confident and happy person. She helped her to become a person the world admires and respects even today. Do you know why this was possible? This became possible because Helen's teacher believed in her. She worked with her constantly. She was very patient and worked very hard. But the bigger reason was that Helen also worked very hard. She trusted her teacher and cooperated with her. Instead of feeling bad about her inabilities, she understood that she was different. So, she would have to learn and do things in a different way. She understood that it would need a lot of hard work, which she also did. The world knows this little girl as Helen Keller. Despite all hardships, Helen learned words. She learned to talk, read and write. She also went to college and graduated with honors. She wrote articles for a magazine called The Ladies' Home Journal. Later, these articles were together published in a book called The Story of My Life. In 1908, she published another book called The World I Live In. The brave lady did not stop here. Helen Keller joined the American Foundation for the Blind. She traveled the country giving speeches and raising money for the foundation. Later, during World War II, she visited the wounded army soldiers, encouraging them not to give up. Helen spent much of her life working to raise money and generating awareness for people with disabilities, especially the deaf and the blind. There are so many people in the world who have some limitations. Many a times they lose hope. Often people discourage them by thinking they will not be able to do certain things because of their disability. Sometimes we too discourage our friends. We just assume that they may not be able to do something because they don't seem to be good at it. Like We may assume that a boy who is very shy will not be able to deliver a good speech, or a girl who is very thin will not be able to win a race. Sometimes we also discourage our friends and neighbors who are differently abled. We may not give them an equal opportunity to play with us. We sometimes also laugh at them. However, we must always remember that despite a disability or weakness, if one has a strong will, he or she can achieve whatever he or she wants to. Trust in one's own self and constant hard work can make anything happen. Must watch.